Hi, I'm Shelley Samone, and this is She's Arrived, a journey of self discovery. But this isn't just small talk. Here, we go deep with stories and conversations with people who have found their thing and through it have stepped into their calling. Hey, it's Shelley. Glad you answered the call. Let me tell you, whoever came up with the term imposter syndrome didn't know me. Before my journey of self discovery, I already had a professional title, was making a little bit of money, and had upgraded my lifestyle to luxury, and still had no idea who I was created to be. Life has a way of exposing the truth, and nothing made me feel more exposed than being around people who never seem to know how to show up as anything but themselves. Maybe you've never had to fake it until you made it, and finding your thing came naturally, but some of you get where I'm coming from. I was around 28 years old and pursuing a career as a real estate broker. I went into real estate because I liked the idea of working for myself and the unlimited income potential. But it turned out the job itself was no different than when I worked in corporate America. In the end, it was just a means to an end. You're probably thinking to yourself the same words that came to me over and over again. The only way to be satisfied with the job is to do what you love. But if you had asked me, I couldn't tell you what that was. For months, I experienced an identity crisis. The question came to my mind, what am I good at? What is my thing? I thought about other people around me who were into fashion or who loved to cook. I love to cook too, but it wasn't something that I wanted to do for a living. So I bought a couple of self help books that provided self assessments to help me figure it out. And let me tell you, a good self assessment is like a mirror. The results I got from these assessments felt like a rude awakening. I had to admit to myself the problem was that I didn't know my thing. I knew exactly what my thing was, which is expressing myself through words. I journal obsessively. My phone conversations last over 4 hours easy. And I promise this call won't last that long, but I am always doing my thing all day, every day. The problem was I was doing my thing in the most amateurish, unproductive, and sometimes even destructive ways. Think back to when you were growing up and adults asked you what you wanted to be. Did you know right away? Because looking back, I think I knew. But what I remember most was people telling me what they thought I should be. I loved to make up stories and I wanted to write fiction. And I had even tried a couple of times when I was younger. After I realized my thing was simply expressing myself through words, I told myself I was going to write that book one day. But that's the difference between doing your thing and a calling, right? You know how it is to entertain an idea that you never give a second thought. And even when it does cross your mind again, you're not even interested in it anymore anyway. But that's not what happened. I still had the dream to write a book, and not just any book. My childhood ambition had grown. I wanted to write a classic like I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. To have a book in the Bible like Ruth or Esther. I know you're probably thinking right now, like, you probably missed that opportunity, but I promise that is like the ultimate dream for me. Speaking of dreams, I will never forget it. One night while I was asleep, I heard so clearly, start now. I had already been questioning myself, so I knew what it meant. I sat up in bed and said, I don't know how to start. I thought about it and the answer came to me, go back to school. And immediately I said, absolutely not. I hated school. And I tried to convince myself there had to be a better way to do what I loved other than going back to school, especially because I was already on the verge of burnout from working in real estate. The answer came to me again: give up real estate. As a woman with no husband and no children, I had no good excuse as to why I couldn't walk away from a job in real estate, especially since I didn't like it in the first place. I could have easily moved back home like I did when I quit my job in corporate America. But this was the thing. Everyone in my circle still worked 9 to 5 jobs except for me. They were impressed that I had taken the risk and seemed to be winning. To start all over was to admit that I still didn't have it all together. And I was so concerned with keeping up appearances and keeping up with everybody else, I didn't have it in me to admit that it was all a facade, even if I knew that everyone else's lifestyle was too. So I prayed about it. I got on my knees that very night and said, God, if this is you, if you are calling me to go back to school, I'll do it. Just let me be able to do it somewhere else. And you know what they say, faith without works is dead. So I got online that whole week and applied for universities and colleges out of state. I went with the first school that accepted me, walked away from my real estate career, gave up my apartment in the South Loop of downtown Chicago, sold my luxury car, and moved to New York without telling anybody but my immediate family. Moving to New York was just the first bold move out of many destinations along my journey. I'm back in Chicago now, and in 3 months from this very first episode of She's Arrived, I'll be 45. Like I said in the beginning, when I started this journey, I was in my late 20s. Still, I'm no expert on self-discovery. I'm just here finally doing my thing in a way that is both intrinsically and extrinsically rewarding. And I want to talk to other people who are doing their thing, whether you are pursuing or have already stepped into your calling. Because while your journey may be similar, your personal story allows you to bring value to the conversations that only you can contribute. Like iron sharpening iron, we will inspire and encourage the fulfillment of each other's calling. Wait, I've got another call coming through now, but let's continue this discussion later. I'll tell you how branching out changed everything for me. So, promise you'll answer the call next time, right here on She's Arrived.